Good morning, you guys. How you doing? Happy New Year's, and I'm so glad that the season's over. All right. So let's see. If I want to straighten it, that's the way I go. One ear is up higher than the other. That's how it works. It's always been that way with me. All right. So what I want to do, and that means that this got to go this way. Oh, I'm going to talk about this Nazarene. I'm having some. I don't really having difficulty, but we need to make clear somehow that when it comes down to following the Bible and what it tells us to do, it wasn't what, it's what it's telling us to do something. And this idea that this is what they were made to do, or this is what they told them back then, this is what they did back then. No, it applies to now as we're working with this idea of trying to gain our salvation back. All right. And that's basically just getting back ourselves, to pull ourselves out of the wheel and perhaps even be more productive because now we're, working and serving the Lord. All right. So the entire Bible is about trying to, one side's deflecting us, keeping us on the search, this mission where we're still waiting for God and Jesus. We're waiting and waiting. But then there's another part of this Bible that says that, oh yeah, but if you could just if you go get baptized, this will bring the Lord on. If you say you just tell him that you believe in Jesus' name, this will save you too. See, it's just the garbage that people will suck in. And we're reading it. Yeah, I believe it's right there in black and white. When God says that His people are literal, that is not a compliment. You know, it goes to show, wow, these guys are so easy to pull the wool over, right? You some can't even match up the idea that hey, there is a system to this. No, oh no, these people wrote these themselves. No, somehow or another, our entire world, the world around it, is not organic at all. Somehow, it's all been forced in here. You know, and little do they know that there's relationships with all religions on earth. I don't know who all really knows that. Who all is really picking up on that? Me and Bill, me and a few other people, seeing that behind religion is all these other things, and other people just go, I can't understand. Well, it's because these numbers are behind things. These letters, there's mechanics going on. There's some kind of mathematics things going on, and that these were all made a long time ago. They are not a collection of people's handwritten notes. I haven't run across one handwritten note, unless you want to, bring Islam into things. Every one of these writers are writing in this code, and no, it's not a coincidence. I mean, my God, and I keep saying, where is your mind? I love that. That could be this year's slogan. We don't seem to have a little catchphrase, and the God's honest truth doesn't seem to be lightening the weight here, But aside from this idea of the last chapter that I just pulled apart was in this Matthew 20. It was whatever it was. It represented a 6 as well. What, 24, something like that. And it talked about the works, and it said, surely these things have to be done before this day shows up. All of these things have to be done before your final day, and that is about our works, and that work means to follow Scripture, to follow the Word. This is where the poor are preached to. The poor are preached the Word. And so all these people get healed. This one gains its sight. This one, can learn to walk. And this one here, is cleaned of its leprosy. and the poor who show up. That particular shows up. That statement shows up in on the fourth kingdom and the fourth part of this, which is this way, right? It's the spiritual side. Poor. The poor are read the Gospels. This is a direct connection to the sixth chakra. To this is all you get. And that means parables and allegories. All right. In Corinthians too, we find this idea where Paul tells us. There's one of the writers in this book. The book tells us that it reveals that there are two sides to this Bible. That there's the letter which kills, which is the word, and then there's one side that saves, which is what we teach. And it all is about saving, being saved. But it's not being saved, it's saving yourself. So one outside thing has us waiting for God forever. And as long as we are in the situation, that's called the vow of the Nazarene. That's what Numbers is all about. Numbers 6 is about the vow of the Nazarene. And it means that we are to remain unclean. There'll be no eating or drinking from this inside part of us, this vine. And of course, they said this is people that don't eat grapes and don't eat this. I mean, this is an outside approach to things. There's an outside of these things and an inside to these things. And all this repenting and stuff like that is not to just turn around. It means to do the opposite of what you're doing. And in our Bible, it comes very clear that there's an outside way and an inside way. And God prefers the inside way. That's the kingdom of God, not the kingdom of man. How can we get any clearer? I wanted to go through this Numbers things, but I'm not. I'm not going to go through it. I'm telling you enough of it right here. Our works are to believe in religion. God needs a people to pick from. He needs to have. If the way the stories work is that God is a husbandman. And that makes him a farmer, a tiller of the ground, the earth. And so individuals, you and I, being individual worlds where we are also the tillers of our ground so that we can even meet up with God, we have to pitch our tents to the rising sun or to the east. That's the whole idea. And then things happen. This is a spiritual book. And we have learned so many things this last year. So many things came to light this last year that, it shows that we and the entire planet is under this particular vexing or some kind of a curse of some kind, where even if we are to tell them what's going on, unless they're really close to the edge of this, end of times, when they can see that there's some problems and troubles and stuff like that. It's not what our government's doing out here, and it's not what's happening in the weather. Those are outside things. It's when things start happening in you, when you start saying, I'm questioning this. I don't believe this. What does it mean to come as a child? What is that? What is that? What kind of magic is this? What did we, when you start asking questions, say, there must be something more to this. What does it mean when Adam doesn't have a go meat? He has to have, God makes him a go meat. Well, it sounds to me like he's being created, not mother, but this wife of his, who made him eat from the tree that brought him back to earth. All right, that's the opposite side. This is where you're kicked out of heaven. We're all kicked out of heaven, for Christ's sakes, every one of us, until you sow the seed correctly, until you learn that there's another side to our Bible that's going to save us. So we have this interesting book in front of us that not only kills us, tells us it kills us, tells us we signed on for this a long time ago. It's just one of those things that if you want to live, this is what you've got to do. You got to serve Satan. You got to serve Father for the first part of this. And they make it out to be so terrible, but I let Satan have me for God knows how long, and I turned out okay. I think, yeah, he's well pleased with me. And so now all I do is try to teach people this. And one of the first things that I come across is that all these Christians think they're saved. And then there's even clergy out there talking about all of those people that they say are lost, like me, say that they're Christians. Why do they say that? I don't call myself a Christian. No, I follow Jesus. I believe in God. I'm a Nazarene. And now that I'm done with that, with my works, what am I now? I don't know. I was asked, how do you worship your God? I said, I don't. I don't worship anymore. I said, I was a clergyman. I was working in the church. I know what it means to worship something. I do. We don't have to do that. Once you figure it out, there's no dogma in God, and God doesn't want you to lower yourself to him. He's asked you to raise yourself to him. And this is a total different concept than what people are accustomed to when it comes down to what is a spiritual person. It certainly, once you make it over to the other side, it certainly isn't someone who preaches the gospel to the poor. You understand? We now know the other side of things, and we preach the spiritual side of the Bible. We try to bring life to these dead people, and that's not so easy to do. And you have to also convince them that, hey, whatever you've done that you believe, you think that you're connected to God, I just beg to differ. If I want to fight or argue with these people, I would go on night and day and night and day. But in reality, they already telling me. I already know. And what does it matter to them to know that they're not? You're not going to get them to believe it at all. But there are us out here that can smell dead people now from a country mile. And not only that, but we know that if these people can't even answer the question like, what is the seed? What does the seed represent? Or what is this child? What is this, Yeah, so we know this little bit of information about ourselves, and that's it. And we can't go in and tell people what they do, but you can pretty much tell if they're preaching the gospel, like the Pope and all these other guys, no matter where they are, if they are preaching the gospel, not only are they poor, but the people that they are talking to are also poor. They'll get nowhere with this information, nowhere at all, but round and round and round on the rings of Saturn, round and round and round. And there is some belief in this idea that the ring and being married to the woman is going to bring you into this lower state of mind, because it's just what happens on the larger scale. It also happens on the smaller scale. So if we neglect mother, which we all have without a doubt, most of us this is why God says, I know you're a sinner, because you don't carry mother around with you. And those that don't carry mother around have a unbalanced mind, called the wicked mind. And it's not willing to take instruction. It's not looking to be corrected. It just wants to go on. It's already, I'm fine, I'm happy, I'm beautiful, I'm connected to God. Leave me alone. Fine. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy that poverty. Because, it doesn't matter whether or not they know the truth. It's the truth, and the consequences of knowing the truth fall on you. That's it. So I want to share. Oh, did you know that there's all these dead people on Earth? Oh yeah, great, wonderful, yeah. Hey, did you know that there's not one, hardly any dead, there ain't hardly any live people on earth. Even the Pope is not connected to God. That's crazy. He's got to be. That's his job. Listen, that kind of truth just ain't gonna settle. But I know it, and what do we get out of it? It only sets us free. You know. So I want to bring other people into the fold. Yeah, so I want to turn some more lights on in the world. Jesus wanted to do it too. And he says, lest he comes, no flesh gets saved. Do you understand? That's what he says. So, and everyone thinks, oh, that means he's going to come early so not all of us are consumed by the devil, consumed by evil. If we want our flesh to be saved, we have to break this spell of this Nazarene spell. We need to, you do know that there's more than just drinking wine for these Nazarene guys. There, no death shall come to them during these times. Unless they do it themselves, unless they kill a man themselves. When they take it upon themselves, then they have to answer to God. Do you understand how that works? That means when he finally figures it out and he kills himself, then now he goes up and answers to God. Now he stands before the Lord. And the third part of this is now his hair can get cut so that which means to lose the skin and become this child, plant this seed and let this child grow and connect to mother, father, and everything's going fine. But till then, the works means that you're unclean. The works mean that you're unclean. Believing and praising Father. That's it, Oh, thank Father for this. Oh, thank Father for this. Well, as much as you don't, as much as this this is serving the lower. Uncircumcise yourself from this lower side. Learn what it means to be this Nazarene first. Know that when it comes down to it, that to die is where we actually go through this valley of death. It's through the shadow. Though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. Do you understand this idea that when we go in, this is this other part that I find I have to fight against all the time, is that Satan. Anytime you're talking about chakra systems, that's New Age, you're pagan. Oh yeah. Did you know that being pagan means to have God with you, to have the Spirit right beside you, to actually be right with them to do this? And the religions come up and they say, you can't have God. You have to have an arbiter. You have to have someone come between you and God. It's just absolutely impossible for you to do this on your own, and dangerous. This is what we get. So this is that monster or whatever it is, this beast that stands in front of the gates to this place where the seat of the soul is, our pineal gland and crown chakra. This is the gate. This is the doorway. This is the place where we go in and change things. And only in this temple up here, you're the only one that's allowed in there. So as mankind mimics what the Bible is talking about on the outside, those people in the know are doing what they tell them to do on the inside of us. We've repented. We are going the opposite direction than the rest of the world. And there are a few people that are doing this. All right. So this is us, setting ourselves free, setting ourselves free of control from the outside world. And God tells us that once we make this move on this other side, nothing can come in between you and God anymore. You'll see that in between is our works, is the strange woman. It's the woman that's on our back, the outside woman. outsider, the stranger. She is our works. It's right there in our Bibles. And we have to do her first. She is the moon in our kingdoms. She is what comes between us and God. And when we go under, she goes dark. She no longer shines her light. That's what it means. And so that means her influence on us is over. All right. And because those two things, the first and second kingdoms on here are also our sacrifices. That's our skin and her. That means that whenever we go through this process, we are no longer unclean. We no longer follow the Bible's word, and we are brought out of that hell, and we are made clean by the same word, by the side that we keep, by the spiritual side of those words. It's just absolutely beautiful how it works. So it's the poison and the cure right in one little book. It's a beautiful thing. All right, so I can talk about this all day long because it's the coolest stuff on earth. But if you want to even be a part of this, you have to join religion. You have to get into this group of people that's the planting field, the field that God can pull from. And if you're not even participating, and I'll tell you that this idea of if you're an atheist, you're participating. You are a participator, because just recognizing and trying to go against it and stuff like that is beautiful. All right. You and Christians don't know shit. You're perfect. All right. You're all wonderful candidates to this. But for those people that just don't have anything to do with it at all, in a way they are participating because they're not. They got a whole nother lifetime. They have many, many more lifetimes to get connected. Because there's no hurry. The Earth's been around for eons, not just 4,000 years like our Bible, So anyways, I'll talk to you later. I love you, and Happy New Year's. And let's hope for more discoveries this year from our Bibles, because we haven't finished it yet. All right. Almost, but, we've got the gist of things. All right. Take care of yourself, you guys. Try to bring yourself over to this other side. Pull yourself together. When 2 or 3 are gathered together, Jesus will be in the midst. Check you later.